into tomorrow and exactly what is happening with that. Speaking of an education, what are you doing for your education in terms of a university education and for those who want to go abroad? And you keep asking yourself the questions, okay, so do I need to pay a fee somewhere at some agency? Is somebody going to sort me out? What exactly is going to happen with that? There have been so many scams online. I pay some money and I end up never actually getting anywhere and nobody really helps me out. There's an organization called Cradle. Now, what Cradle does is that they've understood that certain things need to happen. There needs to be variety in terms of university education selection. There needs to be transparency. There needs to be a fast speed of service. You need to be able to say, look, this is what I want to study. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. Options here, you can make a decision. There also needs to be the most efficient application service so that everything you do gives you a guaranteed result in the shortest period of time, as well as scientific career guidance where somebody's actually telling you, look, this is what you want to do. This is the way you should go. And working with you at every step of the way. These are the things that Cradle does. And it's all coming together in the Study Abroad World Fair that takes place on the 31st of August. So Cradle, that is linked with making sure that they can match students to their desired courses, and even after that, to the desired career, is putting up this fair on the 31st of August from 11 to 4 p.m. And you register on www.cradle.com, where you can get access to scholarships, you can get access to on-the-spot admission, and as well as your visa issues all sorted out on one day. Register, cradle.com, call 0799 000 444. Get in and get your university education all sorted out. This hour, it still does continue on an education conversation. And as we're getting into that, we'll have two guests. One of them is already here. Former CAS, Zach Kinuthia is here with us this morning. Zach, good morning.
Good morning too.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
We'll also be joined by Emmanuel Manyasa, who also an education expert in his own right. And we'll be having that conversation when he does get here, but the conversation starts all the same. Zach.
Yes.
We have a proverb every morning. Siti's going to welcome you properly with that proverb today. If you have everything ready, then we're going to ask you how you would interpret it and what that proverb means to you.
Sure.
Fair enough?
Sure.
All right.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the People's Republic of Algeria. They have a population of 44 million, in case you didn't know, but they actually do. Interesting, isn't it?
Right.
Right.
Okay, just a minute, Siti. Let me just make sure that we can hear you around the world, even as we sort out your
microphone. You haven't done that thing yet.
Okay, you're fine.
You've done it?
Done.
All right, fine. Now, our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the People's Republic of Algeria. Okay? A population of 44 million. Of interest, it is a country in the Maghreb region of North Africa. They're going to ask me, what is Maghreb? All those things I will tell you in the course of the week, what it means, the relationship it has with the Sahara, etc., etc. And while we're at it, I will also tell you about the composition of the population. Yes, in addition to that, I will also tell you what it was that Algeria was known as long before the name Algeria came into being.
Okay.
All right. Now the proverb. The one whose belly isn't full of straw isn't afraid of fire. The one whose belly isn't full of straw isn't afraid of fire.
Zach, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much once again. I'll be following up to understand exactly what Maghreb would mean, but I would guess I know what Algeria was before civilization arrived. But let me go to the proverb.
Please guess. Tell me. What was it called before?
I think it was called Hippo.
Hippo.
Hippo like hippopotamus?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was called Numidia.
Numidia?
Yes. And the Arabic name for it, there are two names. There's Tamazight and Zaire. Those are the names that it had. Now, Hippo may very well be a name. Whenever I say these things, I never claim to have the conclusive and absolute knowledge on these matters.
Countries have changed names since civilization.
And I am happy to always learn.
Yeah.
So now Hippo is added, just like Du added cafe
In the Christendom, you'll find that one of the church fathers, doctors of the church, was called Augustine of Hippo. Augustine came from Algeria, but then it was in Africa. Okay. It was still part of the Roman, Greco-Roman world. And it's, as you say, it's good to keep learning. But let's go to the proverb that one who is not afraid, or rather one who has no belly, straws in the belly is never afraid of the fire.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe literally that would mean bellies are supposed to feel fire. Literally, before you come to the symbolism of it, that because bellies are, straws are associated with fire, then if you have none, you have no fear of fire.
Yes.
Then that would mean if you are not guilty of things, you should not be afraid of being questioned. You should not be afraid of being held to account.
Yep.
If you have not been found in your hands into the cookie jar, there's nothing to be afraid about. So that's what I would go for. Mr. African Elder. If that would go.
Well, my friend, the key to this thing is your happiness and satisfaction.
Are you happy, Zach?
Begins and ends.
Yes. Once you've given your interpretation,
yes,
we are happy.
Thank you.
Because that's what we wanted. Not what you think I know.
No.
Or what you think I think. It's what you think.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So am I happy? That's a good question.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And just on the Hippo. Hippo is actually a city. The modern city of Annaba in Algeria. So it's a city. We're asking about the whole country. Algeria. So Hippo is a Nairobi.
Annaba within Algeria.
Yes, within Algeria.
Okay,
yes.
Fair enough. Maybe that's what it was referred to.
Yeah.
Because also Ethiopia would have been referred as Kush. In the countries before.
Yes.
Countries have just been named by the civilization of the British Empire. British Empire really interfered with the names because some of those names also had been given by Ottoman von Bismarck.
No. The Ottoman Empire.
The Ottoman Empire.
Algeria was part of it.
Yes.
What happened to Uganda? They should have gone to Uganda.
Uganda, by the way,
it's starting to sound like a history lesson.
It is sounding like
but it's important.
It's important.
Yes.
Let's segue into obviously one of the lessons that you take when we're talking about an education. And here we are looking at an education in crisis. Whether we want to accept it or not, the things that are happening currently, it just points to that. Here we are today with primary school teachers going back to school and post-primary school teachers saying it can never be us, not today at least, because certain things are not happening in the way in which they ought to. Capitation released supposedly by the ministry last week to the tune of 21 billion shillings. Maybe will be received by schools this week, even as schools open, but the overarching feeling is one of gloom and doom. What are your thoughts about that, even as we get into the nitty-gritty of the conversation?
Sure. The gloomy feeling around the return to school is bringing a lot of consternation in the parents' plans and thinking. Because when Coopet says strike on and Nat says resumption of school proceeds from tomorrow.
It's the other way.
Nat says there's no strike.
No strike, yes.
Yes. Yeah. But Coopet says
strike is on.
Yeah. Strike is on. Yes. When we get there is a problem because you remember there are some teachers who say that they belong to Coopet even if they're in primary school.
Yes.
And there are teachers who are in Nat yet they are in secondary school. It is important for us to say this situation does not serve neither the nation nor the families because parents have no plan whatsoever. What is important here is a voice of the government. Where is the government taking its own people in the wake of this industrial action? Because fair enough, they have their demands. They had their time to solve these things with the unions. But the union have been giving mixed signals about why we should not go to the streets or why we should go to the street. And I think the issue at hand here has been majorly the JSS absorption of teachers on PNP terms, permanent and pensionable terms. Secondly, there has been issues of completion of their CBA terms in terms of salary increment and such things. So my feeling today goes to the hearts of the parents, especially in the rural places and in the slums, because the urban poor suffers more than the rural poor, because one, classes are not sufficient in the cities. Teacher-student ratio is very poor in the urban centers. By the way, urban is worse because even classes are not enough. The schools that we have, there's a constituency in this city that only has one school, public school.
Which one is this?
I think Dagoretti South.
One
public schools, yes. And I think Lenana School has ceded some grounds so that they can construct a new one. This is only one gory story. Nairobi City has the worst access to basic education for learners because there are no spaces to build schools, there are not enough schools.
Just hold on a minute.
Yes.
Worst access.
Yes, it's a least.
Right.
Actually, say least access.
Okay, no, worst is a good word.
Sure.
Because it expresses the extremity. We're looking at the population of Nairobi. What are we now, 7 million?
Yeah, we are approaching 7 million.
Yeah.
Okay, now
6.9, yes.
Okay, now we are saying, no, you are saying actually,
Yeah, sure.
that this population is not well served educationally.
Yes.
And that they don't have enough classrooms, they don't have enough schools, and they don't have enough teachers.
Yes.
Yeah, but then which category of citizen in Nairobi suffers this? Because as you're talking, I'm thinking of a different category who do not have these problems at all.
Yeah. Again, as I said, the people living in the informal settlements that we like calling slums, and then the people who we forget quickly, the urban poor. One, there are no spaces to expand schools. And this is why private and scrupulous people comes with all manner of institutions and call them schools. Okay? And this is where, once in a while, we will hear accidents happening, schools have gone down, we have a but let me go, let's go to the public schools. There is a school in Kibra and another one in Mweki, Kasarani constituency, that has 5,000 pupils.
Each school has 5,000?
Yes.
Right.
This is a problem because even classes...
5,000?
Yes, I think, and it's good that we have been joined by one of the longest practitioners in this sector. One teacher, in an ideal situation, should serve 40 students.
Okay, on that note, let's say a big situation room. Hello to Emmanuel Manyasa, the Executive Director of Usawa Agenda, I beg your pardon. Emmanuel, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How are you doing?
Sorry, I'm late. I am doing well.
You're doing well. We'll accept the apology, and we will also say that while you were away, you missed a riveting history conversation. Maybe the chances of revisiting that later. Yeah. But I mean, we're on a Monday morning, and things with education are up in the air yet again. The last time you were in the room, they were still up in the air, and we were throwing many balls up there, right? Yeah. Or at least trying to juggle them. And just coming off the back of what Zach has just said, from your point of view, with what we have, capitation, maybe. Teachers going to school, maybe. Everything is in a maybe situation. An overview of what's happening today.
Thank you. Allow me to correct the piece of information that Zach just shared about Nairobi having the worst access. It's true that we do not have the number of public schools we should have in Nairobi. And that there are people in Nairobi who even think a public school occupying land is wasting prime land. So I have wondered whether a shopping mall then is superior to a primary school or a public school. But we have ASAL counties in this country where the closest school is 50 kilometers away, and kids have to go to boarding school from grade 1 because there's no school to commute to. I think they have worse access than Nairobi, because Nairobi at least has that option of the low-cost private schools, which are not there in the ASALs because people can't afford them. The urban poor in Nairobi, with all the challenges, they still can afford a low-cost private school, and they are doing so and taking their children there.
Yeah.
We have everything up in the air, unfortunately, because for a very long time, people have occupied positions of leadership, have actually been very operational. They have looked at survival day 1 to day 2 to day 3, and when they leave a problem that is an emergency for the next person. They are always handling emergencies, and everyone is handing over an emergency to the next person. So that today we have a crisis of issues of capitation. are these children born yesterday? These children were born many years ago. We knew they had been born. We knew the Constitution says basic education is a right.
For all.
So we knew we need to educate them. Why are we surprised that they need to be in school today?
Okay, so we're not it would appear as though we're dealing in an emergency situation all the time. Capitation is due, was due. Okay, let's send something and see if we can settle people. Okay, there was a CBA 2021, 2025. We've had 4 years of that CBA. Then suddenly we're running around and saying, okay, we need to settle out the teachers. Everybody needs their thing to be able to go back. Oh, before you know it, it's September. KCSE, we are emergency situation. For a situation that has been this way for at least 15 years.
Where's the emergency really?
That's what I'm saying. It looks like it's an emergency, but what is Emmanuel saying? That
people are telling teachers, oh, don't go on strike because now you see we have candidates. It's okay. I don't want the candidates' futures compromised because KCSE in this country means life and death. It means everything. So we need to make sure the candidates are not, their preparation is not interfered with. But if you made a promise to someone and the person has been patient for years, not months, years, they've been patient, doesn't it occur to you that someday they will try to hold you to ransom? And the teachers are just trying to hold the government to ransom on that, on the CBA. So for me, it should be obvious that at some point, if you owe, someone will hold your court and tell you now today is the day.
Notwithstanding.
Especially
a moment will come, and you have been around Nairobi a long time. You may have seen someone driving a nice car and they are stopped in the middle of the road there with their family, and they tell you, auctioneers won this one. You haven't been servicing the loan, so you and your family, please.
And you've not been talking to us.
You've not been talking to us. You've not been servicing the loan, so you are light. Whether you have many bags in the boot, please. So it happens.
By the way, to agree with my brother here, it's important to separate these two issues, the industrial action issue and the capitation, because capitation coming from government does not depend on whether the teachers have their CBA honored or not. Okay? Because CBA is supposed to facilitate, capitation is supposed to facilitate children's learning in school. And this one began with Kibaki, free primary education. Then was advanced by President Uhuru's free day secondary education policy, FSDE. Then went again to TVET institutions, where education has highly been subsidized by capitation of 30,000 shillings, which this government, by the way, has downgraded, all the way up to the universities, where university has been an issue of capitation from day one, when university was only one in East Africa, then split into 3 in East Africa, then now came to every country handling their own higher education. It is important to say capitation should not be a question of discussion. Government should do this as an obligation. Absolutely. Government should not always run as if they didn't know that there was going to be capitation. Fair enough, CBA and honoring of it, industrial actions by teachers may be issues of now and then.
Zach,
but
how do you spell obligation?
An obligation, spelling or meaning?
Spelling.
OBLI, that way? Okay, OBLI.
I know you know the spelling of obligation. I am halting you right there because you have worked in government.
Yes.
And you understand the principle. This is not a concept. The principle of obligation.
Yes.
Now, when you have a principle and we know what rides on it,
yes,
and what we see consistently, it is how it is disregarded. Now that, it's like nullifying that very principle.
Sure.
So the very thing that you say you are supposed to achieve will not be achieved. So if teachers were talking of a strike, even on this basis, they would have a point, because in the absence of that facilitation, the process of teaching becomes near impossible. Now I'm speaking as a teacher. Okay? It becomes very difficult. Doctors went on strike because they didn't have commodities. You've brought yourself to the health facility, but you cannot do what you're supposed to do.
There are no tools.
You
tools of
cannot do it, and that's the same thing.
Yeah. And now this is what we are saying. Capitation should actually be a more priority because this one goes years after years, months after months, so that the teachers who are coming, supposing that their issues have been sorted, will find tools of trade so that they can impart the knowledge to the kids. But then you find, because capitation has been an issue of delay, has been an issue of reassignment of funds. It becomes it's a discretionary issue. Unfortunately, it should not be a discretion. Yeah, but unfortunately, sometimes it appears it is. We should not even discuss about a teacher going or not going to school before capitation is dispensed. A teacher is very important. That cannot be gainsaid. But first, can we make the environment for the teacher who is going to teach, supposing that their issues have been sorted, can we make that environment amiable? Yes, this is the problem, and I think we can. I hope we can
make it amiable.
Yeah, we should actually. We should make it.
No, not should.
Yeah,
you said we can.
We can make it. We have made it before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what stops us now?
Now this is why we are here,
Emmanuel,
to discuss why. Yeah.
Do you think that it is intentional to sabotage, essentially, a process that should actually be the vanguard of the very foundations of this country? Because that's what education is. However you choose to look at it, it's a pillar, it's a foundational one. You mess around with it, you mess around with people for life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to believe that someone in their right mind can embark on a mission such as that. I just think that we have failed to put the priorities right, so that we have thrown so many balls in the air, and now we don't know which one of them is made of rubber and we can risk it falling because it will rebound, and which one is made of glass and if it falls it will not just be able to rebound. And education is one of those that are glass balls, because if we introduce failures in education, they quickly reproduce in society.
Yep.
Yeah. So it will be very critical that when we are prioritizing what can wait and what cannot wait, that education is on the list of those things that cannot wait.
It cannot wait. Let's take a break on that point. Emmanuel Manyasa and Zach Kinuthia are our guests this hour, and we're looking at, okay, with what is happening with education in the country. We're not talking about currently, we're talking about today, whereby schools open today. Some teachers, at least at the secondary level, will not be in school because of certain things that were being asked for. Capitation already is late for the year. What is being sent out is actually not for third term. You know?
Late and insufficient.
And insufficient. It's actually not for third term. So we are not even behind. We are just not there. And so the question is, what ought to be done? It's 28 minutes to 10 o'clock. Conversation continues after we take the short break.
When I have back pain, I reach for 2 tablets of Panadol